Today marked the start of the Cobbled Classic season with the 76th edition of Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, which, alongside Kuurne Brussels Kuurne tomorrow, forms part of the Belgium Openings weekend. 201 k's is the distance, but it's not the kilometres that make this race so hard. It is the relentless cobblestone sectors and Hellingen, or bergs. With 13 of them and 9 cobbled stretches, only the strongest survive to the finish. 5 riders formed the day's early breakaway, going clear soon after the flag was dropped on the outskirts of Ghent. Fedorov of Astana Premier Tech, De Kettel of Topsport Vlaanderen, Gibbons of UAE Team Emirates, De Backer of B&B Hotels and Louvet of Arkea Samsic. Their gap of max over 8 minutes was less than half of that, with 80 k's to go as live coverage started. Behind them, De Koning Quickstep were busy being De Koning Quickstep, bossing things at the front of the peloton as they made their way into the crucial stages of the race. Yves Lampaert piling on the pressure at the front, and the gap to the break had plummeted to just over a minute. The 5 men out front, well, their days were numbered, and they knew it. Behind them, Yves Lampaert, the Belgian of De Koning Quickstep, made an uncharacteristic mistake, going too hot into a left-hander. He could be thankful that he wasn't too badly hurt and that he didn't take out his teammates just behind him, including the world champion Julian Alaphilippe. 4 k's further on and 2 youngsters were on the move. Johan Jacobs of Movistar, joined by the youngest rider in the race in fact, Olaf Kooi of Jumbo-Visma, just 19 years of age. It was on the Molenberg, though, that we were expecting things to kick off, and indeed they did. Trentin putting in a huge dig, Alaphilippe following, and the move of the day was forming. Stibar, Ballerini, Van Marke and Van Avermaet were amongst the other big names to make the move, which quickly caught and spat the early breakaway. Trek Segafredo, Ineos Grenadiers and Team DSM amongst the teams who'd missed out big time. Realising the desperation of the situation, Groupama FDJ sent Luxembourg champion Genietz off to bridge the gap. Tom Pidcock glued to his wheel. 2 more youngsters who are clearly on great form. They bridged the gap to the front before the final passing of the Haaghoek. 2 climbs further on, though, on the Berendries, and Alaphilippe had got bored and decided to attack again. Nobody choosing or probably able to follow the Frenchman. He was alone with 32 k's still to go. Even for a man of his talent, though, that is a long way. For a long time, it was looking good for him, particularly with 2 mates to block the group behind him. However, it would prove too much eventually, even for him. With 19 kilometres to go, Alaphilippe was caught by the chasing group just behind him, who in turn were caught by the bunch. And so he turned from attacker to domestique, setting the tempo on the lower part of the climb for Ballerini. But it was Ineos who'd gone from the back foot to the front, with controversial Gianni Moscon going over the top of the Muur first, with 4 of his teammates near the front of the group behind him. Moscon's time, though, was up midway up the final climb of the day, the Bosberg, and it was the turn of Quebecer Assos to make a move with Dimitri Claes. However, with so many teams with strength in depth behind, it soon came back together, and we had an unfamiliar sight of a large group contesting the finish of Omloop. Christophe was amongst them, but spokes from his front wheel meant the end of his day, and also a crash meant the end of the hopes of Ethan Hayter of Ineos Grenadiers. De Koning Quickstep had timed things perfectly, though. Asgreen leading them in from 1k to go, Sénéchal taking over in the closing few hundred metres. The Frenchman perfectly delivered Ballerini around the last corner, and from there, it was the Italians to lose. He kicked with just under 200 metres of the race remaining, and at that point, the rest were fighting for second place. Davide Ballerini taking it for De Koning Quickstep. Second on the day, Jake Stewart, the youngster of Groupama FDJ, with third going to Sepp Van Marke. Well, here's the overhead shot, and you will see that once the rider in second place here, Ballerini, kicks, Van Marke really has no answer. Gilbert was the man in third at this point in the race for Lotto Soudal. He didn't have the legs to go for the win either in the end. Jake Stewart having to go up on the inside of Van Marke on the barriers, but clear distance between the Italian and the rest. And the first Italian victory for over 2 decades. Well, they really are formidable, De Koning Quickstep, when it comes to the Cobbled Classics, aren't they? The win for Ballerini, Stewart in second, Van Marke in third. House there winding back the clock in fourth. Gilbert settling for fifth in the end. Arenbourg, Sénéchal and Trentin rounding out the top 7. Well, that was day one. Tomorrow we have Kuurne Brussels Kuurne, so make sure you tune back into GCN Plus for that. We will have live coverage, plus highlights and on demand. See you then.